It is quite a dark day. If you were not following the House Freedom Caucus, which is ostensibly the most MAGA of all the caucuses, but also the caucus that is very much deficit hawks. These are people who really don't want to see any more spending because they're deathly concerned about the federal deficit and how much we've added to it and how we're thinking about our children's future. That is all out the window because it turns out that the 4 to 6 Republican holdouts for this budget bill have folded, and indeed they voted to go for it. It seems like the only 2 Republicans that voted against it were Thomas Massie and Brian Fitzpatrick. Massie, we know, is in part against this because it adds too much money to the debt. And it does. It adds $3.3 trillion to our deficit. And as I spoke about on Wednesday, which if you're like, Wednesday, where's that show? It hasn't. Well, you can't see it because unless you're a patron, you got to be a patron or a member. We were talking about the fact that all of this budget bill is dovetailing with the tariffs war and leading to a tanking of the US dollar, which means that when we borrow money, because we're going to have to borrow money in order to pay for this bill, we're not going to be able to find borrowers. We're not going to be able to find the same people who are now moving their funds elsewhere. They're not buying US bonds. They're not buying treasury. They're not buying US debt effectively because things are too volatile in this country. And certainly with the way that the economy is going, there was just a positive jobs report fairly recently, but that is fleeting compared to what $1 trillion stripping Medicaid away from 17 million Americans will do, what work requirements will do to this economy, to people. People are going to be stretched even thinner. People are going to be working longer hours for less pay. People are not going to even be able to afford. I mean, this is sort of the whole question. They won't be able to afford, even with the work that they are now required with whatever disability, with whatever disabled person they might be leaving at home, which is the whole reason that they might be on Medicaid because they can't work because they are a caregiver. All of the reasons, because they're low income, because they've just had a baby, because they're pregnant, on and on and on and on, all of those reasons. Do you think that the jobs that they're going to be forced to get will cover their health care and their healthcare expenses to buy it on the marketplace? No. And again, this is what I'm saying is like people will have to work in order to get Medicaid. But I'm telling you, the people who will be lost in the cracks, the people who will be forgotten in the space-time continuum of Medicaid bureaucracy is massive. Those people are already lost in the cracks, but we're going to see huge numbers. And all of this, to be honest with you, stemming from, and this is like I said it before and I'll say it again. This is all stemming from the fact, I think, that Democrats did not fight harder for things like universal health care. Okay? And we are living in that meme of guy with a knife in the way other corner of the room coming at you. And it's like Medicaid cuts, Medicaid cuts, Medicaid cuts. And Democrats are like, no, no, no. Meanwhile, they keep backing themselves into a corner and never having a good offense, right? The best defense is a good offense. And I feel like Democrats continue to not learn that. And so when you pass the ACA, these 20 years ago, right? Like, or whatever it was, 18 years ago, 15 years ago, like you have to expand the ACA because part of the ACA was making sure that Medicaid expansion that would cover millions of more Americans would be 90% covered in cost by the federal government. But Republicans held out on their states and their own people They went over the heads of their voters. In the case of this, of what I looked at, which was Utah, voted for Medicaid expansion that was denied by their state legislators. And instead of fighting for the ACA's expansion, instead of fighting for universal health care or a single payer option, Democrats and their pathetic pandering to the centrists and the moderates and the so-called deficit hawks and playing into the same BS narrative that they always had, meeting them in the middle, has led us to this point. That is why we're here. This has been so long in the making. And so, am I devastated? Am I angry? Am I just like, I cannot believe the people who will be left out. Everyone we know, everyone you know will be affected by this. And my God, if you know only rich people, cool, dog. Cool. Because if you're in the top 20% of earners, you're going to be getting a tax break. Okay. It's something like millionaires get the equivalent of a check made out to them that's like $500,000. And it's devastating. It really is devastating what this means for our future, what this means for our present. It's all to give a tax break to the rich. That's what it was for. That's what it is. And that is what it will be doing. So they can fly around on their private jets, polluting the environment. And then when the climate crisis continues to roll on and obliterate entire neighborhoods, FEMA won't be there to help. And the costs of reconstructing from climate damage, that will all go up. Because, not only are we sweeping up the construction workers who would help with such a thing, but the cost of material has gone up because of tariffs. It's so amazing that, we say every accusation is a confession when it comes to the right, but Trump's accusation of America in decline, of America being, of the deep state running it all, of the establishment of the swamp, could never have been more apropos when it comes to every accusation being a confession. This is a man who has overseen the decline in the US, right? And there's a part of me, right? There's a part of all of us that's a little bit like, man, America had it coming, right? There's a lot of me that's just like, you know what? Hey, I guess it was time to hasten the decline even further, right? Except the problem is people are going to die. Estimates 50,000 people a year, more a year, are going to die. I mean, this is an administration that saw two things out of the first 4 years of its time. They saw the fact that they weren't able to kill enough people under COVID and ignoring that, pretending like it wasn't a real thing when it was and is. And then they also saw their fascism was kind of like weak sauce. It was like 1.0 fascism. Man, I don't want that. We gotta level up. And so, of course, our courts and our electorate and our weak sauce, not pathetic opposition party. Yeah, I know Hakeem Jeffries took the floor, held the floor for 8+ hours, spoke out about a vote that was coming down the pike. That's fine. But ultimately, he couldn't stop it. He could have kept going. He should have kept going. Shit, man. Trump wanted this win by July 4th and he'll get it. So what's another 8 hours, man? Of course, I'm sure AIPAC wasn't funding Hakeem Jeffries this time. They didn't fund the diapers that kept him going for that long. Maybe if they had, he would still be going. It's fine and good, but it's all performative until you've actually stopped something. And so because of all that, because of ceding territory, because of ceding the narrative, because of ceding everything, we got this MFer back in office to give him a second and very real chance at doing very real fascism and very real economic and class warfare on all of us. That's what's happened. So this is the swamp. This is the oligarchy. It's come to fruition. It's happened. This bill has $170 billion for ICE, just for ICE. There's more money in it for the border wall and for other national security, read, policing your own citizens piece of this. But $170 billion more for ICE. To do what? To pick up that one last flower vendor that you couldn't get here in Los Angeles? I mean, this is the police state. This is the police state, okay? You thought we were playing before. Maybe it was hyperbolic. Nope, this is the police state now. This is my, I'll just throw this up here because it is deeply disturbing. Here's our job as anyone left of, I don't know, is anyone left? Our job is to make people like Christopher C. Cuomo. I don't know why it's Irish. Like Chris Cuomo and his BS takes irrelevant. So AOC says this isn't about you, and this is about the 17 million Americans whose health insurance you're taking away. And she says that to Lisa Murkowski, who again voted for this bill after getting a carve out for whalers. Hey guys, I hope you're a whaler. Any whalers in the chat? Chris Cuomo of News Nation, where they don't mind when their tushies are touched. They don't go running to HR. Quote tweets and says, "Don't forget, we're in this situation because you took your party so far left that a majority in this country found your party unelectable." Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Is this the little brother of the disgraced former governor of New York who just had his ass handed to him by a Democratic socialist who ran, I'm sorry, what? On the Democratic Party ticket? Oh, yeah. Oh, I think he was very electable. He was very electable. He won. He won and handed your Republican light ass older brother, the handsy, shameful, shame to be Italian brother, handed his ass to him. Okay? So this is the kind of politics, this is the kind of punditry, this is the kind of take that we need to make extinct. Because let me tell you, Zohran Mamdani is not just amazing as a communicator, amazing as a campaigner, amazing, everyone's like, oh, his use of social media. Come on. It was his ideas. This is someone who squarely says the way to stop fascism is to run on a working class platform, period. Is to speak to people. And guess what? I'm sorry, people, remind me, if you remember all of a week ago, how did he win the working class? Did he just sound off in the chat? Did he throw the immigrant community under the bus? Hands? Oh no. Did he appeal to the working class by coding them as white working class and say, you know what, we really need to round up some of the brown immigrants who are taking your jobs and we should be really afraid of them? No. Because he understood, like we all need to understand in this country, that not just in New York, but the rest of the country, the majority of the working class are what? Are women and women of color. And yeah, immigrants. Okay? That's who you appeal to. So it's not just a working class agenda. It is a intersectional working class agenda. And here is this Ugandan-born, brown, Muslim, former rapper with the smile of an angel who's running on an openly democratic social platform, democratic socialist platform, who has to tell us once and for all that meeting the right in the middle only spells your own demise. Unless it's lining your pockets. And if it's lining your pockets, be upfront with it. But if it's not, and you actually care, and you actually care about your audience, then be real with them. Be real with what actually gets people to the ballot box. It is voting about their own issues, about the economy. I mean, my God, you guys, things are going to get so expensive. Things are going to get precipitously and dramatically more expensive in this country. And I don't mean like going out money. I mean basic goods. If food wasn't already expensive, buckle up. If gas wasn't already expensive, buckle up. But healthcare and housing and energy costs, buckle the up. Let's pivot now to those energy costs a little bit and drill down, because this is something I think we haven't been talking about enough. But of course, part of this big fugly bill is that any progress that we made with the Inflation Reduction Act, which was unprecedented because we had been completely lax as, you know, a country on actually moving toward renewables, on, you know, incentivizing that. And I think that, you know, I have a lot of critiques of the Inflation Reduction Act, but ultimately it was posited as this, look, we're going to bring business on board with us. We're going to give these tax incentives. We're going to make sure that, you know, retrofitting your home to be more climate friendly and energy efficient for you and your community won't be so costly to you. You know, people who I know have solar panels, it's like, it really is just kind of this upfront like virtue signal investment, because in order to get solar panels on your homes is so expensive that ultimately the cost saving just isn't there for people. And so that's why folks don't do it. All of that was very much tackled in this. And yet it's all going away. The tax credits were supposed to last through 2032 from the IRA, but they're going to end by the end of this year. So if you want a tax credit, man, I got to talk to my landlord. I got to be like, girl, give me a heat pump, girl. But I'm saying, like, talk, like, if you need any projects done and you want a tax break, it seems like there's a very small window to do them, I guess. So, you know, I've heard David Dayen of The Prospect say that possibly this could incentivize people to try to get any projects done between now and the end of the year. I mean, also when the tariffs may not fully be taking effect, this could be the best time, who knows? But okay, let's break it down. Use clean vehicle credit and the clean vehicle credit. So those purchasing an EV, that's going to be gone. Alternative fuel vehicle refueling property credit. So those who basically have EV charging stations in their homes, you can get up to $100,000 for a business. That would be gone. Energy efficient home improvement. So again, like I said, heat pumps, home energy audits, energy efficient windows. You can get that paid for, or a tax credit to get 30% up to the cost of that. You can get, $2,000 per year for qualified heat pumps. On and on and on. Done. Residential clean energy credit. Individuals who purchase qualifying clean energy systems like solar panels, wind turbines, geothermal heat pumps, and battery storage for their homes. That would be gone. Business clean energy incentives. Those are all going to be phased out. Commercial clean energy credit. It gives businesses and tax-exempt organizations money back for purchasing a qualified vehicle. You can get $40,000 for a large vehicle like a school bus or a semi-truck. Remember how I think we learned that the USPS and their new sort of EVs, those are all, what are they going to be, just like, they're going to monster truck destroy them in some grand idiocracy game, right? I'm sure Kristi Noem's pitching a new, how do we destroy EV to stick it to green climate and Musk. Again, hydrogen production credits are gone. There's even incentives for wind, obviously wind, solar manufacturing, that'll be phased out. So this is from Yale Climate Connections. The bill is climate implications beyond gutting clean energy incentives. Climate journalist Emily Atkin reported the bill is basically a copy paste of a secret oil industry wish list. Remember when Trump said, hey, oil industry? Hey, like, he was like, hello, oil. Hello, oil. If you give me, what was it, $1 billion? It was something insane. It was like, give me 1B and I will make your dreams come true. And clearly that is what happened. And we're seeing that. Items in the bill include ending a tax on methane pollution. Again, methane, by the way, if you guys don't remember the greenhouse gas of methane, I think it traps heat at something like 40% more than carbon when it's emitted. And methane also is one of the emissions from fracking. So it's a massive emission from the production, from fracking production. And so it also smells like farts. That's the one that smells like farts. And so, no tax on methane pollution. That is on top of the fact that if we're doing away with all of this, simultaneously doing away with any language that has to do with environmental justice, environmental racism, right? That's seen as DEI, that's seen as woke, which means game on for building power plants and, data centers to power your dumbass Grok reply guys that got to ask Grok everything. But they're like, hey, Grok, is it true that lefty loosey, righty tighty? Hey, Grok. All those data centers, yeah, those are going to be built in poor communities. Those are going to be built in communities of color. And as they all do, pollute water, air, and give people, afflict them with endless things, cancer, asthma, on and on and on and on. So this is the big, beautiful future we have to look forward to. And yet I was like prepping for the show and I'm like, I swear to God, if Zoran had not won, like, I'd be in such a worse place right now. I'd be in such a worse place.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.